Something unusual is happening behind the scenes of American politics, and it has nothing to do with rallies, polls, or cable news shouting matches. It's happening quietly, in private boardrooms, at closed-door donor retreats, inside emails that were never meant to go public. The money is pulling back. For the first time in nearly a decade, the Republican Party's largest financial backers are not arguing about strategy, messaging, or timing. They're asking a far more dangerous question. Is Donald Trump still worth the investment? This isn't a protest from voters. It's not a revolt from party activists. It's a financial rebellion, led by the people who usually decide who survives and who doesn't. Hundreds of millions of dollars that were once quietly promised to Trump-aligned campaigns are now frozen, redirected, or gone entirely. And the reason isn't ideology, it's risk. Inside Republican donor circles, Trump is no longer viewed as a movement leader or a power broker. He's being treated like a failing stock, one with mounting liabilities, shrinking returns, and legal exposure no one wants on their balance sheet. This shift didn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of warning signs that donors ignored until they couldn't anymore. The first cracks appeared after the 2022 midterms. Behind the scenes, donors had expected a red wave, not because they loved Trump, but because they believed his influence could still deliver wins. Instead, they watched Trump-endorsed candidates lose winnable races across the country. Senate seats slipped away, governorships stayed blue, House margins narrowed instead of expanding, and donors began asking an uncomfortable question. If Trump's brand turns primaries red but general elections blue, what exactly are we paying for? That question grew louder as internal data came in. Swing state modeling showed Trump underperforming not just Democrats, but generic Republican candidates. In private polling, voters who disliked Biden still hesitated to support Trump, not because of policy, because of chaos, because of fatigue, because Trump wasn't selling a future, he was relitigating the past. Donors expected a disciplined campaign focused on inflation, border security, and economic anxiety. What they got instead was grievance, endless grievance, personal vendettas, conspiracy theories, attacks on fellow Republicans, recycled claims from years ago. To donors, this wasn't strategy, it was self-indulgence. And then came the legal bills. Quietly at first, then unmistakably. Millions of dollars raised under the banner of Saving America were redirected not into voter outreach or ad buys, but into courtrooms, lawyers, appeals, depositions, settlements. The money wasn't helping candidates win, it was helping Trump survive. That distinction matters to donors because donors don't give out of loyalty, they give for outcomes. And suddenly, they were watching their political contributions vanish into legal defense funds with no electoral return. Some began calling it what it was, throwing good money after bad. The frustration spread. Major donors who had stayed silent for years began quietly stepping back. Not publicly, not dramatically. They simply stopped wiring funds. Super PAC pledges were delayed. Checks were reduced. Commitments were quietly withdrawn. Campaign finance professionals noticed first. Budgets that were supposed to expand didn't. Media buys were postponed. Field offices remained unopened. Staff hires were frozen. Meanwhile, Trump's operation kept bleeding cash, not on voters, but on lawyers. Then, something happened that broke the spell. A figure donors trust, someone with no political incentive, said out loud what many were already thinking. Warren Buffett didn't name Trump. He didn't need to. When he said that smart money doesn't chase bad returns, Republican donor circles heard a message meant for them. It validated months of private doubt. Within weeks, more funding evaporated, not because Buffett told anyone what to do, but because he gave permission to walk away. And once the first major players stepped back, others followed. In politics, money moves in herds. When confidence breaks, it breaks fast. Suddenly, Trump wasn't just facing Democratic opposition, he was facing a capital strike from his own side. The consequences are enormous. Campaigns run on money the way bodies run on oxygen. Without it, everything slows. Advertising shrinks, ground operations weaken, voter registration suffers, data operations fall behind. And Trump's campaign is now operating at a severe disadvantage, not because Democrats outorganized him, but because his own financial ecosystem is collapsing. Even worse, this doesn't stop with Trump. Down-ballot Republicans are being caught in the blast radius. Donors who once funded entire slates are now reluctant to give it all. They fear their money will be siphoned upward, redirected into Trump's legal defense rather than competitive House or Senate races. That fear is changing behavior. Candidates in swing districts are suddenly underfunded. State parties are scrambling. Strategists are warning that entire regions could be abandoned due to lack of resources. And beneath it all is a deeper fracture. This isn't just about Trump's viability, it's about whether the Republican Party still functions as a coordinated national organization. Parties depend on trust that money raised for elections is used to win elections. When that trust erodes, the system breaks. Donors begin funding individuals instead of institutions. They bypass party structures. They hedge. They wait. Some are already exploring alternatives, not necessarily Democrats, but post-Trump Republicans, figures who don't bring legal baggage, who don't consume resources, who don't dominate the news cycle with self-inflicted crises. This is the quiet part of politics most voters never see: the spreadsheets, the risk assessments, the return on investment calculations. And right now, those calculations are brutal. Trump is no longer being judged as a symbol, he's being judged as a cost center, a liability, a political asset that depreciates instead of appreciates. And that reality creates a dangerous precedent. If a candidate can redirect campaign funds to personal legal survival without consequence, if donors are punished for loyalty, if elections become secondary to self-preservation, then the entire party infrastructure weakens. What happens next is uncertain. Trump still commands a base. He still dominates media attention. He still controls the narrative in many primaries. But money doesn't care about narratives. Money cares about outcomes. And right now, the outcome donors see is a campaign burning resources while shrinking its chances. This moment might not end Trump's political career, but it has already ended something else: the illusion that he is financially unstoppable. What we're witnessing is not a scandal, it's not a sudden collapse, it's a slow withdrawal of confidence, the most dangerous kind, because once confidence goes, it rarely comes back, and when the money leaves, power follows. This financial rebellion may ultimately decide not just one election, but the future shape of American politics.